The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Someone could give me a yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I think I was advancing. I think my microphone was not picking up. Well, I had to do a quick reinstall. So let me start over. Okay. Now, good morning. If you saw my slides advancing without hearing anything, it's because I thought I was talking. And in fact, what happened was there was an outage, and I believe CrowdStrike. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. No slides. Are you guys seeing my screen? You should be seeing my screen. Yes. Yes. Okay. Look around, Carmen. The screen share is on. Yes, we're just getting going. So here's my intro, trading for a while, teaching for a while. Here's my disclosures. Be careful out there. And now let's get back to, it's not a great start for a Friday. A technology issue. The coffee is good, though. Everybody, good morning. If I missed you. 22 years ago, right now, this morning, my firstborn was firstborn. He's not even here, like on a road trip with friends, but happy birthday to him, wherever he is. Okay, what's going on? Let's talk about it. I like what's going on. Give me your thoughts. Let's start with that. We've had a little bit of a pullback. What did I just call it? I'm calling it a pullback. I'm not even calling it a consolidation yet. Certainly not anything more sinister than that in my mind until I see a lot more than what's happening now. So I'm bullish. I'm going to put it out there. I have put on some off-cycle trades. I've talked about that. I put one on oil. Worked out great. Worked out great. Looking to close it down before the end of the week, catch a little piece, move on out. Calendar spread. Oh, if anybody had the calendar spread on, you know what I'm talking about. It was getting stretched a little, then all of a sudden, whoop, it whips back into place. Now it's set to go into the weekend, like perfectly in the middle. I don't know. Really feeling good about that. Feeling happy. Good morning, John. Good to see you. I missed everyone else. Good morning, LK, Faust, Bob, Ernest, Carmen. Got the rest of you. It was not great. Good morning, John. It was not great start, but we're here. We're 5 minutes before the market, and we're already talking about the economic calendar, so good on us. Which really is not much there. More Fed speak, right? All week. Did you guys see how prominent my man Austin Goolsby's speech was highlighted? The Goolsby for Fed campaign is ramping up, gaining steam. I believe that Austin and I, it feels a little weird because I like Goolsby so much, but I do want to be on a first name basis. So I don't know. I might have to stick with Goolsby though. What else? So speaking of the Fed, I feel like I've been strong-armed into September, but not yet. Who's with me? Who's with me? The Fed is going to resist the pressure that the market is putting on, which does to some extent mean you're succumbing to the pressure that Trump is starting to put on. He said, don't do it. You know, you shouldn't. You know, a less than veiled threat to the Fed of don't do it, because if I get in. I just thought it before, though, right? To be fair, I said, look, the November cut is the day after the election. How neatly packaged and convenient is that? Right? In September, though, they could be like, it's looking good. We think the next meeting, they could even know they're going to do it the next meeting and say they think the next meeting, the market will still be fine. A little rattled because look how much it's built in for September, right? September, when they say it's baked in, that's what this is. That's what they mean, right? It's at 93.5, but baked in is not in until Jer Bear comes out and says it. I don't see there being a resignation, but all signs are pointing to a different candidate, right? Am I mistaken? There won't be a resignation. That won't happen. But I do think a step down. And I just don't think that I don't know. The polling doesn't indicate that who's second now should move into the top of that ticket. It'll be it's a fascinating display of like old guard politics that should die. And I don't know, man. Woo, goodness gracious. Okay, let's keep going. Now that so I have a few people who are with me over here in this 1.9%. Good morning, Raymond. Good to see you, sir. Here's November. Now, November, that's me now. And the rest of the market would like to see it there. No cut in November. I don't know. It's a definite. It's happening this year. Like anyone who was like, we're not getting any cuts this year. And I actually think they would go November, December. Bam, bam, 2 in a row. CrowdStrike made Microsoft so insecure that no one. I haven't even checked. I'm I'm involved in a couple of like Microsoft Teams things that I should go see if that's been impacted. John's maybe interested in a friendly little wager. Market's open. Ding, ding, ding. No, you're saying no cut for the whole year. Let's go one more. I don't know. Oh, let me erase myself here. And let's go one more step over. Yeah, I don't know. I might be this one. You have, I mean, who thinks it could be down 1%? That's just silly. I don't know. Okay, let's go see things. Market started okay this morning. We had a kind of a flat open. You can see we bounced back 0.07, Dow down 0.2, NASDAQ up 0.06, Russell up 0.08. So marginal, but showing what? Showing an indication that perhaps the sellers are running out of steam. Here is my chart. My market posture is not going to change based on this dropping, right? Why? Because this is my trend line right here. And guess what? It fell right to that trend line. So as of right now, what do I think it's going to do? I think it's going to stabilize and bounce. I don't think that because I'm so great at predicting the market. I think it because that's the trend. Until it does something different, that's what I think is going to happen. That's what I thought when it dipped here. And that's what I thought when it dipped here. And that's what I thought when it dipped here. And you might think that's not a dip. Yeah, it is. If that's your consolidation, you guys know that's my pattern, right? I mean, that's my pattern right there. I can go back to every good big move and I'll find that pattern right at the beginning of it. So if you're ever wondering, there. So, oh, good call out. John said we're more than 10% higher since so this move, it's done well, right? But here's my thing. I'm going to go to the well one too many times rather than one too few. That's a rule. I'd rather go to the well and find it dry than not go to the well and be thirsty. And John said it, 2 words. Buy the dip. Now, there's a premise to that. Find a bull market and buy the dip. That's the working title of my book, in fact. So don't try to take it. Well, I have a bull market and I now have a dip. Now, I'm not convinced the dip is over, so I am going to be patient there. Mario just brought something up, which is a concern of ours, right? We've had this concern. Let's go look at it. What is that concern? Well, if we're talking about concern, I think we'd be talking about the VIX. That is the concern metric, or what some people call a fear indicator. Now, we had a great conversation right back here. And the conversation was, it's not, I have an automated trigger that says if it makes a higher low, I'm assessing that to be escalating, and I'm going to hedge it, or I'm going to be something. But it didn't do that. It didn't have a higher low. We said it's the same low, but if you're carrying bullish trades, it's always a good time to think about a hedge, right? It's always a good time to think about a hedge when the VIX is around 12 if you're carrying bullish trades. So I know at least a handful of people in here put a hedge on. There was never a reason to close that hedge. It wasn't working. That's not how hedges work. We have to give them a little bit of leeway. And you can see as you look down here at what's happened since this time when we saw that cross that connects to our signal, it's just been moving up. It paused a little through here. It looked like, ooh, this thing might turn around. In fact, I even said, I think in here, if it turns around, that would be a confirmed lower high relative to this, right? But it never gave that signal. And in fact, what's happening now, I'm going to draw a different tool here. What's happening now is this broke our consolidation there. If you weren't hedged, that actually triggers a mini hedge, a half a hedge for me. Break the consolidation, half a hedge. Now we have a higher high. So what's the concern? The concern is that if this pulls back, this entire window is a higher low window. So yes, I am absolutely concerned. Mario, I think that's a fantastic call out that there is a right huge amount of concern developing there. Now, let's also do this. That's relative concern relative to this market where we're like, ooh, it's a little spiky. It's up a little bit. But remember that we're still below 18. We're still below 18. That's just overall so low compared to like when shit's really going down. You'll know. That's not this. This is where people can trick themselves into thinking, right? What my kids would call first world problems. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a little poof on the volatility. It's not a, what are we going to do? Don't grab them pearls. Just relax. It was just a pullback. Edge through September yesterday. Ooh, that's a long one. But yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? You saw when we want to talk about hedges. If you my preference with a hedge is early because it's really not worth anything to be late. It's early or not at all, right? For a hedge mentality. All right. So that was I had two big concerns over the last couple of weeks, the VIX and the dollar. The dollar actually has played out more in our favor. The VIX is still holding on, and you can see that is definitely showing to be problematic. Let's take a quick look at the dollar. UUP. So if you remember from the dollar, the first thing was to get back below here. The second thing was to get back below here and under the 50 and then to try to stay there. And we got number one right there. We got number two right here. When number three is if this thing can bounce down 1, 2, 3, that is helpful to the market. See if this was just like a little, China semiconductor war / I mean, the funny thing is, let's go look at, this whole CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike's not happy. Let's start there. I mean, they were already like teetering. Oh, they broke their 50. And then all of a sudden, bam, 12%. Yeah, CrowdStrike, you better make sure that you don't shut down major airports. Everybody in the airport's like, dump CrowdStrike. That's their only recourse. Here's the SPY, though. This looks fine. the higher high, higher low. Everything's looking fine here. We've already on our stochastics have moved into an oversold situation. Definitely looking for trading windows. Now, here's the deal. Stella was with me on this on Wednesday. She saw the same thing. Oh, and look what she sees today. Making things so secure no one can use it. I like that. I like that. Yeah. So I showed you my chart, and then Stella's like, "We're in agreement. Everyone knows that when Stella and I are getting along, life is easier for the kids, right? You know what I'm saying." Looking bullish here, but do we have our concerns? Of course, there's some concern. That little poof on the VIX. Poof. The NASDAQ. Oh, Stella does not like the NASDAQ. That's probably one thing leading to Vlad maybe putting on a little more time on his hedge. I know this, that when we see a pretty pronounced sell-off like we have seen in the NASDAQ, the model tends to be like, oh, and it kind of runs. Not every consolidation turns into a full bear move. What would a bear move? This is 50. 20% would be about down here, and 10%, that's a correction right there. That's a correction. We're not, I mean, I think that when you get to a correction, you're gonna, at the very least, if you haven't already, for the market to make a corrective move, it takes 2 moves, sometimes 3, right, to get 10%. I know sometimes in our minds we're like, oh, it's just going to crash. It's going to fall. What are we going to do? But it doesn't fall that way. I get it, Mario. I still... I have one last teenager for 6 more months, and then that's it. My kids are in their 20s. Makes me feel old. But yes, like it's like we're always in our minds thinking things are just going to do this. When in reality, they'll do this, and then they'll do this, and that's how the market lost 10% back in. Nothing like fell out or whatever. And so, anyways, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. That's why whenever I see this, I'm skeptical. That's not how the market goes. The model's like, it's going to get crazy. And it's like, never does. Now, we already did SPY. Let's go IWM. Yeah, same thing to the upside. Right? It's exactly the same thing to the upside. Like it's saying that we're about to get a 220 to 240. So we're going to get a 10% move after getting the 10. We're going to get 20% in the month. It's just hard to ask for that. The model gets a little overexcited sometimes. For me, I always dial it back a little bit. I think the SPY is the best representation. That's the one in the middle, remember. The SPY is taking some NASDAQ and no, it's actually not taking any small caps, but it's taking some small caps and some large caps and some technology, and you can see what the Dow's looking for. It's jumping. It's looking for some things to get overall more bullish than not. That represents exactly what I see. From a cyclical standpoint, remember what we said. You know, end of June, we tend to get a nice little bump. We've gotten that bump. We're getting close to the top out here, which would indicate a pullback, and then possibly more of a pullback. If we were strongly on this correlation, and you can see like we're to some extent You can see that it cycles, a little bit. We're more bullish than we tend to be, so I'm actually not paying too much attention yet. I'm definitely more focused on the short term. All right, let's go look at a watch list. Let's look at some stocks today. What's going on? SPY looks reasonable. We opened, we pushed, we pulled back. We're establishing our range. Fair enough. Let's get to the top of our watch list. Does this correspond with what you said on the VIX? Buy alerts. Long UVXY. UVXY is the ultra short. Oh, wait. Long put. What's it? VIX crush Friday likely. I think they're actually looking for a rally with that trade, Kevin. They're buying calls on the short. So they're actually looking for the VIX to drop today. I don't know when they say VIX crush, whoever put that signal out, a volatility crush is that's a very specific event that occurs post earnings. You can't just say volatility crush and use the word crush anytime you think the volatility is going to drop. So instantly, I don't like that person's announcement. Volatility crush is what happens when volatility inflates before earnings and is gone the next morning. On a chart, it looks like it falls out, but it's gone. Like literally, it goes from 40 to 28 and drops 12 points, and that's a crush. It sucks the life out of it. The volatility dropping from 16 back to 13, that's not, I don't know. I'm a stickler as a prophet of the religion of VIX. I mean, this looks like a setup to me. What do you guys think? I'm on the wrong chart. Let me change my time frame real quickly here. Mini crush? I'll take mini crush. This looks like a setup, right? This day here looks almost identical to this day here to me. So am I looking for this to happen here? Heck yeah. Would I consider starting to think about some anticipatory trades? Yeah, with my market posture strong like it is, absolutely. All of my trades anticipatory? No. But would I start thinking, hey, I want to get a couple of things on, because if all of a sudden this thing, is there a chance we pop up 1% on Monday and just start going again? Hell yes. So if you've been winding trades down, which is what I would expect you've been doing over the last 4 days, then you're probably not carrying a ton, and you're starting to think about getting some horses back in the race, get some chips back on the table. Because as my advice in my book will say, find a bull market and then buy the dips. Okay, let's go through. So Apple, put it on the list, right? Absolutely. Apple's on the list. That's exactly what we're looking for. AMD. Now, this is where you're going to have to make some decisions. You guys know I don't love 100% retracements. All the way up, all the way back down. They canceled each other out. As far as I'm concerned, we're right back here, right? So this has nullified itself, and I have no interest anymore in AMD. Yeah, okay, great. Don't settle, right? Just because I've been watching it and thought I was going to get a trade, I was very excited right here. Whoa, geez. I was very excited right here. And thinking to myself, here's my window. And it just went right through that window. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. There's nothing there for me. Amazon, same thing. Same thing. Amazon is now in a consolidation for me, which means that it has to go through the pattern. That pattern says that it has to go up and it has to break this consolidation. And I would say probably get higher than that. Then it has to come back down and not get back down below. And then it's ready to be traded again. Right? Same kind of thing like here. That wasn't my trade. Even though it worked, that's not the point. That's my trade. And that trade worked better. Right? So that is what I'm waiting for. AVGO, I went too far down. I didn't take this. I'm not interested in this. I don't think it's going to get back above this now. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, the financials aren't loving this, right? Great. It's getting, I was looking for it to come down here. Today's event is going to get it there faster, but this event is not going to fundamentally reverse financial stocks. Don't kid ourselves. This is just going to consolidate it faster. Okay. You should have been waiting for some trades here anyway. So as we go through here, I'm not going to be surprised to see some of those. Here's Bank of America. Looks fantastic. We should be, this is a setup, right? We should be thinking about trading this. Looks very bullish. BLDR, an old friend. What have I noticed? I've noticed a nice number of these reversal patterns in industrials. There's the consolidation. There's the breakout. There's the new high. Now it's sellers. How are the sellers doing so far? What sellers? What sellers? This thing could come all the way back down in here and I'd still be like, oh yeah, it's ready to go. So I love this. If I went back, I see that there's an uptrend back here to the left. You guys see that? I see that. If I went back to the start of that uptrend, what do you think the odds are? I'm going to find this exact pattern at the beginning of that uptrend to indicate when now you'll notice how the pattern works. It broke out right here. All it has to do now is have a higher low. Never came. All right, let's test it. Let's test it out. We're going to go back to a 1-year chart. We're going to go all the way back in our Wayback Machine to the start of this trend when we had a downward moving slope. Look at that consolidation. And what happened? We had a breakout, a new high, a pullback, a new low. Bam. Now, that entry would have been tough. It would have been slow to get go. But this entire trend started here. So now what? Well, we have a new one of these. And we have a new one of these. And a new one of these. All we're missing is one of these. The check mark at the end where we're like, right? Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Who's with me? Hands in. We'll do a cheer to represent our solidarity. No? All right. I thought it would be a fun and exciting Friday trading exercise, but more for me. How about Citi? Let's get back to 6 months. You guys need more coffee. Looks great. It's a little choppy. I'm okay with that. A little chop never hurt. I think there's great opportunity developing in financial sector right now. Absolutely. I think there's great opportunity developing in the industrial sector. Look at Citi, like Builder, BLDR. Broke out, got the new high. Now the sellers are coming in. It's coming on back. I'm waiting in here somewhere, just waiting for it to come down. CCL Carnival. Oh, a new from the consumer. I think consumers starting to show Although I thought it was going to be led by Amazon, and Amazon all of a sudden moved out of favor to some extent. So, okay, we'll keep an eye on it, but this looks good still. I was in this trade. I finally took the rest of it off yesterday. Nice trade. Didn't do what I thought, but I got what I could. And now what? Looking for the next one. What is this one doing? In consolidation. Once it's in a consolidation, at this point, I was like, oh, it's in consolidation now. At that point, there is nothing here for me until it gets on the other side of that. And then once it gets on the other side of that, there's nothing here for me until it holds that. Right? If it goes up and then comes right back down, that's no good. If it goes up, comes down, and holds, now we're ready for a new trend to develop. COP. Oh, there's my oil trade. There's my oil trade. What happened? Boom. 2. Go. That was it. That was it. That's the trade. Nice little pickup. Make some money. Get out. Wait for the next one. Can I get an amen? What about gold? Well, yeah, let's go look at gold. Costco. Costco looks close to me. I'm thinking about Costco. CSX. Industrials. What happened? Broke out. Higher high. Now pulling back. Plenty of time for a trade. So all of a sudden, what else do we have? More. I told you that I saw strength. I see strength in communication services and technology. Those are the ones pulling back now, and yet the market persists and prevails. Why? Well, we think we're getting more support, more breadth from the other sectors. Now we're seeing financials come into play. Now we're seeing industrials come into play. Now we're seeing consumer discretionary coming into play. Great. Welcome to the party. Carvana, consumer discretionary. Did you guys notice? I did some searching, put some new things on my watch list, shiny new opportunities to consider. The Dow is pulling back, but boy, the Dow looks like it's flagging. I don't know. It's so interesting. Ford looks great. Everyone's like, Tesla, Tesla. What about Ford? Look at Ford's breakout. Fastenal, that's another old friend. Look at all these old friends of ours that got kicked off the island. Back here, we're like, oh, you guys are out. No need for us to watch them during this consolidation period. But guess what? Guess who's back? Is that how that song goes? I can't remember. Now starts pulling back, and we've got ourselves opportunities. Love it. Love it. FCX. Ooh, look at I don't know if it's copper. I was thinking gold and copper, but now it's looking like that's breaking down. Bitcoin, it's trying to hold on. Geo Group Inc. New REIT. I don't know what this is. I found it and I'm like, I'm just going to look at that. So it looks like it wants to be tradable. Here's gold. Yeah, gold looks viable. Right, Mario? I mean, not copper. Obviously, that's what's bringing Freeport down, but gold looks just made a new high. It's pulling back. GM, higher high, moving towards a higher low. Google. If it weren't for earnings. If it weren't for earnings, I'd be licking my chops for Google, but we'll see what to do with that. Home Depot. I just want to put it out there. Like I'm not trying to front run Home Depot. I'm just saying I have to buy a new trimmer, right? And there's a brand new Home Depot down the street. Is it going to have an immediate impact on the stock? Probably not, but there may be a like the Buffett bump, you know. When I go get that trimmer, there could be an impact. So I just wanted to flag that to the group. Yeah, also, it's flagging. Insider information. It's flagging as well. So there's this. There's this for our demand swell. Okay. IWM. Okay, now don't get too excited because I'm looking for an off-brand. I don't care. I just want, the baseline model. Nothing fancy. IWM pulling back. KBH looks exactly the same because IWM and KBH are on the same drug. They smoke the same Fed crack. And as soon as they got a little sniff of the rates, they're like, they start going into a bit of a tweaker frenzy. And here we are. Flagging. Coca-Cola. Okay, so what? So then what's the deal with Coke? This doesn't look defensive. This looks bullish, right? I don't know. Meta. Honestly, I was thinking about it because I love Meta so much, Mario, but I might have now characterized this as I have. I tend to get some of my favorites a little more leeway, but at this point, it's been designated persona non grata, right? Which means it's in a consolidation. And I'm not trying to call this low anymore. I'm trying to find this low now. That's my thought, right? So at this point, if it keeps going down, that's what I'm going to be looking for. Persona non grata. That's a trading term now. However, MFC, oh, well, hello there. My friend, you look very nice. Looking, put it on the list, setting up. Financials, right? Love it. Morgan is flagging. Microsoft, like Microsoft. I do feel like I would still give it this last chance here, which is more than normal. Normally when it's like breaking the 50, but I do have this old resistance back here that's like, oh, okay, that's a nice little level. And we're there. We don't have much time. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, we wouldn't be able to trade it till Monday for confirmation. And then I'd have a week. Let's put this as a maybe. Micron's definitely a no. Netflix, it's hard to look at this after earnings and think it's doing anything but still figuring it out. Nvidia, I would still say yes. I would trade this one more time because it's Nvidia. I would give it one more shot. Palantir looks fine, but it doesn't look like it's setting up for a trade. QQQ still looks like it's going to hold above the 50. So overall, healthy still. SPY, absolutely healthy still. Speaking of SPY. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this calendar, we were up here at like 564. It doesn't look like it. You might be like, Scott, at 564 is profitable. No, it wasn't, because at 564, the VIX was at 12.5. We got this now. Right? And so when the volatility pumped in, it pumped everything in. And now it's sitting here. Great. Now I get Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and on Monday, if it's sitting in this range, I'll carry it, right? If it pops up a little bit, but that's it. This thing's at 70%. 70%. Love it. Loving it. What about raids on chain stores? Some stores inflating theft to get more insurance. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a retail problem. It's a very isolated part. Even, I mean, that's the thing. When we think consumer, we think retail, but retail is a very small. Where consumer is going to be travel and leisure and all these other things plus retail. And so, yeah, retail theft. Yeah, people been stealing for years. Loss prevention. Cigarettes, MO and PM. I know, but it's like that's like Coke too, right? There's a weird bit of defensiveness. Look at we'll get there in just 1 second. Hold on, I'm gonna get there. But here's TJX. That's another consumer discretionary. TSM maybe. The dollar is down. The VIX is up. Why do you always think I'm trying to trade it? Walmart stayed strong. Gave a nice little signal back here. Got a 3-to-1 on a bull call spread. You can see the volatility was a little high. It's not great today, but we're fine. Basic materials. There's some strength there. That's where gold is sitting. I still am bullish on consumer or in communication services. Energy, it got the bump. I made some money on it. We'll see if it pulls back and continues. I think financials back in business. I think industrials back in business. And both of those are setting up. Technology's holding on, but a bit iffy. There's Staples. Staples also has a little bit of strength, as does utilities. So there is still some defensive things, right? There's still some defensive things. XLV, healthcare, that looks bullish. Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the SPY one more time before we go. Yeah, I think we have setups. I think we'll see triggers. I think we have enough of a bullish market to be preemptive and be think about some anticipatory trades. So, yeah, I like what I see. I'm excited to go into next week. I think that my watch list looks strong. I've added a number of industrials and a number of financials and a few consumer discretionary. I'm looking for the market to continue to broaden and get bullish into the fall. Stay bullish into the fall. Anyway, well, it's great to see you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I got a new Blackstone grill last week. I made hibachi. It was delicious. It's not great though on a 102-degree day facing the sun with no shade. I was on my deck and I'm like, it was so hot, but it was delicious. This week, breakfast, hash browns, eggs, sausage, bacon, ham, cheese, the mix. It's going to be amazing. No, I have a push mower. I got to get my exercise, but I am going to get that new trimmer. So watch that Home Depot stock. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. As always, happy trading.